From Minneapolis, Minnesota, good morning, everybody. My name is Pierre Kerkinni. I help manage our Center of Excellence here at Anaplan. Otherwise, as we like to refer to ourselves, we're the Anaplan on Anaplan team. Now, one of the primary initiatives that my team is responsible for is standing up connected planning at Anaplan, but not just working through connected planning, really trying to be a showcase of what connected planning can be. And so over the last couple of years, we've done a tremendous job of rolling out connected planning at Anaplan. And what I wanted to share with you today was the journey that we underwent in order to get us to the current state that we are in when it comes to connected planning. Now, to be completely frank, connected planning was not easy by any means. And as we worked through our journey, we came across a handful of challenges and hurdles that we had to overcome, some of which we will present during this presentation. Others will be presented throughout the day. So later in this afternoon, you'll hear from my colleague, Aaron Groutman, who's going to do the unveiling of our Connected Planning Playbook, which is a series of recommendations we're making to all of our prospects and customers that allow you to hopefully have an easier time rolling out connected planning for your specific organization. Now, the journey to connected planning for me started 4 years ago when I first started with Anaplan. And at that time, we were a much different organization. We were only about 200 to 300 employees, but we were growing very drastically. And as a result, we had a great desire for models across our entire ecosystem. Now, the problem with our organizational structure at that time was we were very siloed. And what I mean by that is within the financial department, we had the leaders that knew exactly what they wanted out of their planning models. They had the solution architects and the builders. And so they worked together within that functional area to develop the planning models they needed. And across the organization, it was entirely the same case, where within the sales organization, they had the leaders that knew what they wanted out of the planning models. They were able to work specifically with their solution architects and model builders, and were able to roll out the content and collateral they needed. Now, over the years, what that allowed us to do was build out some good content. It just wasn't great. And it specifically wasn't great for connected planning for a number of reasons. The first is our lists, which are the backbone to all models, that should have been aligned, unfortunately weren't. And I'll give you an example. If we look at something as simple as our regional hierarchy, historically the way that our hierarchy was structured within our finance organization was different than what was within our sales model. It was different with the models that we had within CS. And so it was difficult to share information. The other problem that we had being a siloed organization was our data sets oftentimes didn't tie out. And so something as simple as a customer metric where you just needed to get a customer count was different across our models. And then lastly, some of the things that we preach in terms of best practices weren't being abided. So when we talk to prospects and customers, we often say best practice is to have a single source of truth, meaning you should only stand up a single data hub. And unfortunately, what we had historically was multiple data hubs as a result of building in silos. Now, as I mentioned, we were able to stand up a ton of collateral. It just wasn't great. And so 2 years ago, we got serious and decided that if we were going to stand up connected planning, we should start from the bottoms up. And so the first place we started was assessing our organizational structure. Now, in the former state, what we had was what we called a federated state, which is an organizational structure where each team works independently of one another. And there's some benefits to that. Some of the key benefits of being a federated state is that you can be quick and agile. When you have the leaders that know what they want and they have the resources to stand those models up, they can do so in a very efficient manner. The other approach that we were thinking about is what we call the central administrative approach, which when you think about a center of excellence in its purest form is really what that is. Meaning you have all the resources embedded on a single team, so all your solution architects, data scientists, and model builders would be embedded on a single team. Now, the benefits there are, as a unit, you can be a lot more collaborative and communicative when you're all working within the same team. The only drawback with that structure is that you lose a little bit of that agility that you have when you have your federated state. So what we decided was we didn't want to lose any of the benefits of either approach. So as an organization, we went with what we call the hybrid approach, meaning we have the Anaplan on Anaplan team, which is the center of excellence. We would have ownership of all the central components to our ecosystem. So things like our data hub, the data integrations, and executive reporting models would all be owned by the Anaplan on Anaplan team. And anything that was a production model within the business would be owned by the respective functional area. Now, in order to make this work, what we needed to do was define the roles and responsibilities of the Anaplan and Anaplan team, as well as our Anaplanner Council or partners across the organization. Let me give you an introduction to the teams and talk a little bit about the partnerships that we've established to give you a sense of exactly how our organization is formed right now to allow us to be successful with connected planning. If we look at the Anaplan on Anaplan team, for all the work that we do, we are still a fairly small team of 6 individuals. We come from incredibly diverse backgrounds. Some of us worked in finance, some of us worked in automotive, some of us in investment banking, and we all have various degrees of Anaplan experience. So Mark Shamiri on the team was one of the first employees to start with Anaplan, was actually the first solution architect, has 8 years of experience. But then we have Aaron Groutman that just recently joined the team, who's been around for only 3 months. And so we have diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences within the Anaplan platform. In addition to that, we have our Anaplanner Council members, which are the modelers across our functional areas, and they're instrumental in helping us be successful with connected planning. So across the organization, we've identified a member of each department to act as an ambassador that helps drive not only the builds and solutioning of those models for that specific council or for that specific department, but then to also communicate any work that's being done back to the entire group. And then we have partnerships between our Anaplan on Anaplan team and the Anaplanner Council to ensure that we're always in sync in terms of best practices and rules of engagement. So as we're developing our ecosystem, it's done so in a cohesive manner. Now, what we do in order to foster collaboration and communication is we get together every 2 weeks in which we hold an Anaplanner Council meeting. We share concepts, ideas, and changes that are being rolled out that could potentially have downstream impacts. And what this allows us to do is constantly be in sync. So as we're developing, we're not going back into the former state where things are getting done in a way that helps the business or that specific functional area complete their plans, without taking into consideration the broader organization and the need to be able to connect other models into their respective models. Now, one thing I want to illustrate is as we've gone through our journey, it wasn't something that happened overnight. It happened in phases. And so this chart helps illustrate our journey as an organization and the different use cases that we've built over time to help us get to the current ecosystem that we currently have at Anaplan. And lastly, if we look at the completed architecture and solution of what connected planning looks like at Anaplan, you'll see from where we were historically, it's much cleaner, it's much better organized, meaning that all of our information from our source system now sits in our data hub that's validated by the Anaplan on Anaplan team and gets shared with the businesses as needed in order for them to successfully complete the planning models they have for their respective functional area. As a result, what we've been able to do internally is roll out 100 different use cases across all of our lines of businesses that are connected through a robust series of data integrations. At the moment, we have over 200 different data integrations that happen leveraging HyperConnect, which is our ETL tool. And as a result, it's fostered incredible amount of time savings for our organization. It's allowed our forecasts and our plans to be much more accurate. And most importantly, it's allowed our business across the entire organization to be aligned at all times. As I said, later this afternoon, you'll hear from my other colleagues who will walk you through some of the additional work that we've done. Aaron will walk you through the Connected Planning Playbook and showcase some of the concepts that we've generated and recommendations that we make as you work through your connected planning journey. Joey Morissette from the team will walk you through some concepts that we leverage that help us organize and also think about how we solution out our models. And Byron will walk you through the idea of being first customer, meaning we do a lot of testing in terms of additional features and functionalities that we look to roll out with the platform so that we can make sure that before they get to you, we've thought about all the nuances with each of those features. Thank you very much.